Looking back at the truth behind the tens of thousands petition on April 25, 1999. On April 25, 1999, a significant event occurred in China that sent shockwaves around the world. Tens of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners gathered in peaceful protest to appeal for their right to practice their beliefs. This event is now known as the April 25th Appeal or the Falun Gong Appeal event. In the aftermath of the event, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, launched a propaganda campaign, spreading false rumors that the practitioners had surrounded Zhong Nanhai. This was used as a pretext for the CCP's brutal crackdown, which began just over 2 months later on July 20, 1999. Despite the passage of 24 years, the CCP's persecution of those who adhere to the truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance principles of Falun Gong continues to this day. What is the truth behind this event? As the 24th anniversary of the April 25th appeal approaches, we revisit this historical event that had a profound impact on China and even the world's moral bottom line. From this, we can further see the distinction between good and evil and choose a bright future for our lives. Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, is a peaceful Buddhist practice founded on the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. It was first introduced in Changchun City, China in 1992 and quickly spread throughout the country, attracting a vast number of followers who experienced great spiritual and health benefits. According to Chinese government statistics, by July 1999, the number of Falun Gong practitioners in mainland China had reached 70 to 100 million. However, the rapid growth of the practice made it a target for persecution by the Chinese government, specifically under the former leader of the Chinese Communist Party at the time, Jiang Zemin. Driven by fear of political power being affected and great jealousy, Jiang launched a massive persecution campaign to eradicate Falun Gong within 3 months. As a result, millions of practitioners have been harassed, detained in prisons and re-education camps, and subjected to brutal torture. Tragically, Falun Gong practitioners have become the primary source of the Chinese Communist Party's organ harvesting industry, generating enormous revenue. The persecution of Falun Gong practitioners began in 1996, with the publication of the first defamatory article in Guangming Daily. Subsequently, on July 24, 1996, the General Administration of Press and Publication, which was under the jurisdiction of the CCP's Central Propaganda Department, issued an internal document to the news and publishing bureaus of various provinces and cities nationwide, banning the publication and distribution of Falun Gong books such as Xuan Falun and China Falun Gong, which were then among the top 10 bestsellers in Beijing. Communist Party spies undercover failed to collect evidence. In July 1998, Luo Gan, the secretary of the CCP's Political and Legal Affairs Commission, along with others, through the Ministry of Public Security to illegally declared Falun Gong as ex-religion and subsequently led a nationwide campaign to gather evidence against the group. The First Division of the Public Security Department issued Notice No. 555 of 1998 on the investigation of Falun Gong, which openly, rather than secretly, referred to Falun Gong as ex-religion and proposed that public security and political security departments at all levels should investigate deeply to grasp the internal situation of Falun Gong activities and discover evidence of its illegal crimes. At that time, Public Security, United Front, and special agents were successively sent to Falun Gong's exercise sites to learn exercises and study Xuan Falun with practitioners, but they were actually there undercover. However, there was no place to hide within Falun Gong, as all the activities of practitioners were open, and they were free to come and go without registration or membership fees. Many undercover agents gained a deep understanding of Falun Gong as a result, and became steadfast practitioners themselves. This result surprised Luo Gan and others, as not a single piece of evidence against Falun Gong was collected throughout the country. On October 20, 1998, the leaders of the research group dispatched by the General Administration of Sports to Changchun and Harbin gave speeches, fully affirming the significant effects of Falun Gong in disease prevention, fitness, maintaining social stability, and spiritual and cultural construction. Similar conclusions were reached in their investigations in Beijing, Guangdong, Dalian, and Wuhan. In the second half of 1998, some retired cadres conducted a detailed investigation and study of Falun Gong based on a large number of letters from the public reflecting the illegal treatment of Falun Gong practitioners by the public security organs. The conclusion drawn was that Falun Gong is of great benefit to the country and the people without any harm, and the investigation report was submitted to the Central Political Bureau headed by Jiang Zemin at the end of the year. Tianjin incident, the first step of the CCP's persecution escalation. On April 11, 1999, He Zuoxiu, a Chinese nuclear physicist and member of Chinese Academy of Sciences, published an article entitled "I Do Not Approve of Youth Practicing Qigong" in the Youth Science and Technology Expo held at Tianjin Normal University. The article continued to use false examples and specifically accused Falun Gong. After He Zuoxiu's article was published in Tianjin, some Falun Gong practitioners in Tianjin believed it was necessary to clarify the truth to the relevant authorities and hoped to eliminate the negative impact of the article through negotiations with the magazine's editorial department. Therefore, from April 18 to 24, some Falun Gong practitioners went to Tianjin Normal University and other relevant organizations to reflect the truth. In order to maintain good order, Falun Gong practitioners who went to Tianjin Normal University to reflect on the situation consciously kept quiet and orderly. They did not make noise or walk around randomly, leaving passages to various parts of the university, and Falun Gong practitioners outside the school gate voluntarily maintained order. Article 41 of the Chinese Constitution stipulates, citizens have the right to criticize and make suggestions regarding any state organ or functionary. Citizens have the right to make complaints or charges against any state organ or functionary for violation of law or dereliction of duty, but fabrication or distortion of facts is prohibited for false charges. That is to say, petitioning is a legitimate right granted by law to citizens, and Falun Gong practitioners petitioning and reflecting the true situation to relevant departments is completely in compliance with legal provisions. However, on April 23 and 24, 1999, when dealing with peaceful petitioners, Luo Gan ordered the Tianjin Public Security Bureau to dispatch more than 300 riot police to beat Falun Gong practitioners who were reflecting on the situation, resulting in 45 arrests and some Falun Gong practitioners being injured and bleeding on the spot. When the Falun Gong practitioners requested the release of their fellow members, they were informed by the Tianjin municipal government that the Ministry of Public Security had intervened in the matter, and that the detained Falun Gong practitioners would not be released without authorization from Beijing. The Tianjin Public Security directly advised the Falun Gong practitioners to go to Beijing, as it was the only way to resolve the issue. The Sound of Hope has gathered several witness accounts regarding the April 25 incident, which had a significant impact on the world. These accounts are summarized below. After a while, under the command of the armed police, the students standing on the east side of the road outside the red wall of the State Council in Zongnanhai were instructed to move to the west side of the road. The restructuring of this team was completed in less than 10 minutes. The area on the west side of the street became crowded, with 10 people in each row standing closely together, barely able to move. The line of students stretched for more than a kilometer along Fuyou Street alone, with about 10,000 people. Students on the streets heading north, east, and west, from Xixi all the way to Beihai Park, were lined up for several miles. At about 7:30 in the morning on April 25, when I arrived at the north entrance of Fuyou Street, there were already many students standing or sitting on both sides of Fuyou Street and nearby streets. No one was talking to pedestrians, some were holding books to read. Although there were many people, there was no traffic jam or noise. People riding bicycles to work on the road were rushing as usual. To my surprise, although there were tens of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners, their discipline was surprisingly good. The police officers, who rotated in batches, were easily walking around on the streets. Food bags, mineral water bottles, and cigarette butts were thrown everywhere, but nearby Falun Gong students picked them up and put them in the trash cans. The streets and sidewalks were all clean. The kind Falun Gong practitioners definitely did not expect to face a long-lasting and cruel persecution more than 2 months later. I learned from a conversation with my unit leader afterwards that according to official secret documents, the number of people who participated in the April 25th petition was far more than 10,000, but tens of thousands. The exact number will eventually come to light. A Falun Gong practitioner wrote in a witness article for Minghui.org, at about 8:15 a.m. on April 25, 1999, Premier Zhu Rongji and his entourage walked across the road from the west gate of the State Council to face the Falun Gong practitioners who were petitioning. The practitioners applauded. Premier Zhu asked, "What are you here for? Who asked you to come?" Many practitioners said, "We came to reflect the issues with Falun Gong. No one organized us." Premier Zhu then asked, "Why didn't you write a letter to Petition? Why are there so many people here?" The practitioners replied, "We have written so many letters that they have become sacks, but we have not received any response." Premier Zhu said, "I have replied to your issues." The practitioners said, "We haven't received it." At this point, everyone realized that Premier Zhu's response to the Falun Gong practitioners had been intentionally intercepted. The premier instructed to select a few representatives to further explain the situation. At noon, 2 Falun Gong practitioners from the Falun Dafa Research Society and 3 other Beijing practitioners entered the State Council to meet with government officials as representatives. They presented 3 demands on behalf of Falun Gong practitioners. 1. Release the Tianjin Falun Gong practitioners who were illegally arrested. 2. Allow the legal publication of Falun Gong books. 3. Provide a legal environment for practicing Falun Gong. Premier Zhu Rongji promptly ordered the release of the detained Falun Gong practitioners in Tianjin and reiterated the country's policy of not interfering with the public's practice of Falun Gong. In the evening, Tianjin released all detained Falun Gong practitioners in accordance with the central government's instructions. The Falun Gong practitioners who had petitioned left quietly, and the entire process was peaceful, harmonious, and orderly. April 25th is a moral monument in human history. Looking back at history, we can see that the Tianjin police's arrest and beating of people was the direct cause of the April 25th large-scale petition in 1999. However, certain individuals in the top echelons of the CCP have been using their power to suppress Falun Gong since 1996, and have been constantly creating incidents. Although the petition did not prevent the CCP's premeditated suppression plan, April 25th allowed many people, including many Falun Gong practitioners present and absent, to witness the inner peace, rationality, and courage of Dafa cultivators who adhered to their conscience. It was a spontaneous activity to uphold the moral foundation of Chinese society, and it was never the siege of Zhongnanhai as propagated by the CCP. After the appeal, Falun Gong practitioners were widely monitored either directly by police or indirectly by employers. But the brutal persecution was not brought into broad daylight until July 1999, when Jiang Zemin issued an order for police to suppress Falun Gong practitioners nationwide. At that time, the CCP media claimed that Falun Gong practitioners were attacking Zhongnanhai and laying siege to Zhongnanhai. These were all fabricated lies for the purpose of persecution. In China at that time, people who seriously practiced Falun Gong could be found in all walks of life. On average, 1 out of every 10 people read Falun Gong books and practiced the Falun Gong exercises. They had in common a voluntary commitment to following the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance in order to improve their physical and mental states, and were grateful to Falun Gong and its founder for giving them a new lease on life. Therefore, in their daily lives and work, they tried to be good people according to the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance, resolving many family and interpersonal conflicts and bringing peace and light to society. The word petition was never something they had ever considered, let alone participating in it themselves. Where does the idea of surrounding and attacking come from? In the current global environment where moral values are declining, it is truly inspiring to see so many people come out on the same day, without hesitation, to the same place, and put aside their personal interests to uphold truth and the well-being of humanity. That moment truly moved heaven and earth and will be remembered by future generations. As the truth continues to spread, we believe more and more people will come to recognize that April 25th can truly be regarded as a moral monument in Chinese history. No matter how powerful the forces of darkness appear, or how many politicians in the world abandon their moral bottom line, the truth of the universe will not change because of people. The principle of cause and effect is the law of the heavens. Everyone will face judgment one day and be responsible for their own lives. Seeing the truth and adhering to one's conscience are the keys to obtaining spiritual freedom in life and being reunited with loved ones in the afterlife. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.